My name is Chloe Kuhn, and today I'll be exploring the benefits of getting mammograms through interviews with women who had or have breast cancer. Mammography is the process of using low-energy x-rays to examine the human breast for diagnosis and screening. The goal of mammography is the early detection of breast cancer. The interviews I conducted with survivors in my community provide a more in-depth perspective of my topic.
My name is Jennifer Poole. I'm a breast cancer survivor.
My name is Kristen Becker Hoffman, and I'm a breast cancer survivor.
In November of 2016, I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma, and it was stage 1. It was my very first mammogram, and they found a lump, and so I had a lumpectomy and 33 bouts of radiation.
In May of 2012, I sat down with my daughter on the couch, and she wanted to watch TV, and I scooted her over and I ran my hand next to my breast, and all of a sudden I felt a very sharp point at that point, and I knew that that wasn't right. I then faced calling my OBGYN the next day, and he got me right in at stage 2. And that journey was really difficult because it was something that I had never experienced before, and I felt sometimes like I was strapped to the front of a freight train with no conductor. Didn't know where I was going, didn't know how I was going to get there.
According to a journal article from BMC by John D. Keene and James E. Keene, screening 2,970 women once will save one life over the next 15 years. The average benefit from one subsequent mammogram would be 1 in 2,970, or 0.034% chance of a life saved. Although that percentage does not seem very high, mammograms are meant to be a preventative measure. So just one life saved means the mammograms have done their job.
I did have a mammogram at 35. I had asked about it because I knew Mia had passed away, and it was just kind of part of something that I had an anxiety about. And unfortunately, I wanted to have another one at 37. My 35 one came back fine, but age 37, I wanted to have it again. I had a doctor that basically shamed me for trying to have those types of tests too early in my life. And so I had a very negative interaction with this gentleman. This doctor is no longer here and was here for a very short time. But that was my message of, well, why did you take that test? You're too young for that. Well, 1 year later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was able to have a mastectomy and reconstruction as well. I followed up with radiation, and it was basically a year-long process. It ended with a plastic surgery as well to be able to kind of put myself back together.
I think that 40 was good. I mean, that's when I had my first one.
Mammograms, I think, are absolutely essential. You know, they can give you a clear reading on anything, whether it be cancerous or maybe just density in your breast that you need to be aware of. I think the recommendation still is at 40 years old, which I think is a good age.
Some women are fearful of mammograms because the process involves radiation and can be traumatizing. However, Daniel B. Copens disproves the beliefs of some women that the radiation from getting a mammogram is more harmful than helpful. In an article he wrote I found on Google Scholar, he states that by the time women reach their late 30s and early 40s, there is no measurable risk from mammographic doses, and even the anticipated risk is far below even the smallest benefit from screening.
I would say every year is good. It's super inconvenient and kind of slightly traumatic.
I do get mammograms every year, and I think that's absolutely incredibly important.
The American Cancer Society recommends that women 45 to 54 should get mammograms every year no matter what, and women 55 and older can switch to a mammogram every other year, or they can choose to continue yearly mammograms. Screening should continue as long as a woman is in good health and is expected to live at least 10 more years.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if they were at the age that they weren't going to do anything about it, any sort of treatment anyway, if they were like elderly and they were like, if I've got it and like I'm ready like to go, like I would say that should be their choice to do that.
I'm sitting here today because of it. My cancer wasn't found by a mammogram, but I know that if I would have had it as at 37 years old, I think that they would have seen something, and it would have been, it would have prevented me from going through a lot that I experienced.
I conducted a survey among my school staff and students regarding how many women in their life have experienced or are currently experiencing breast cancer. A majority of responders were females between the ages of 14 and 17, and 80% of responders know someone who has survived breast cancer. When asked about their background knowledge of mammograms, 50% of responders know an average amount, 17% know more than most, and 30% of responders had very little previous knowledge about mammograms. 77% of responders think we should be doing more to educate society about breast cancer. When asked the question, do mammograms save lives, only one responder said no. Overall, we should be doing more to educate our society about breast cancer and mammograms.